Live from Alpin Haus, the brand new, improved Alpin Haus, the showroom off Route 30 in Amsterdam. It's Honorado and Miller. It's Chris and it's Ash, and this showroom was just unveiled to the public earlier this week, just in time, Ash, for, of course, the busiest shopping time of year, which is Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and then the full rush of December all the way into Christmas. So perfect timing here for this brand new expanded showroom in in Amsterdam, where Alpin Haus is able to display 4 seasons of inventory, right? It used to just kind of be, hey, we have to swap out the pools for the skis and vice versa. Not anymore. You are sitting with some patio furniture, the umbrella over you. I know the spas and the pools are not far from you.
Yep.
And obviously the winter gear is behind me here. Pretty much everything you could possibly need if you are a skier, a snowshoer, a snowboarder, whatever. Exactly. All the gear and all the essentials for any winter outdoor activities you have going on. So we're happy to be here to show off some of the space. You would have seen some of that on News Channel 13 earlier in the week, and we'll talk with co-owner Andy Heck coming up on today's show as well. We will also talk, Ash, with
Andy's favorite football team's owner, Jerry Jones. Sorry, I thought you might have frozen, so I was like, here we go.
You never know. You never know with Wi-Fi, but I think we're running smoothly here. Yeah.
Year 2 of Jerry Jones around the holidays, around Thanksgiving, of course, for the Red Kettle campaign with the Salvation Army, which is really cool. But yeah, listen, whenever you can have Jerry Jones on the show, not so bad.
No, we'll take it.
Yep.
All right, so we'll have that conversation with Jerry Jones coming up in about 20 minutes or so. We have our NFL picks. I'm headed in the wrong direction after being 5-0 just a couple weeks ago. Ash is trending upwards in her picks. We will do the NFL pick'em coming up here as well. We'll talk a little bit about the Thanksgiving games as we do the show live on a Wednesday. You're watching us on TV over the weekend. Obviously, those games have already been played. The first ever Black Friday NFL game would have already been played as well. Sam, good to see you, buddy. Good afternoon. Yeah, I kind of like the earlier shift. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, you wouldn't know it by how dark out it is currently, but a Wednesday ahead of Thanksgiving, we just figured give the people a chance. Nobody's watching us on Thanksgiving. I'm not sure anyone's watching us today, but you know
I'm not doing the show on Thanksgiving.
We at least give them a chance. And yes, we don't want to do the show tomorrow either. We want y'all to be with your family and friends and not hanging out with us.
All right, let's get going here on Honorado and Miller.
This is Honorado and Miller, sponsored by Alpin Haus.
And that's where we are, Alpin Haus in Amsterdam, the renovated, expanded showroom here. We'll talk with the co-owner, Andy Heck, in just a little bit. But Ash, let's get into the news of the week. Carol's here. Yeah, we see you, Carol.
Hey, Carol.
Always good
did you see Jerry Jones in I forgot he made the show open too. Yep. So we're going to see him again.
Yeah. I know this is going to feel like, hey, it's a week old. I get it. But it was the game of the year so far, not based on performance or competitiveness, although it was a close game.
Yeah.
This was the rematch everybody wanted to see. Like, okay, Eagles, Chiefs, we saw it in the Super Bowl. It was an incredible game in the Super Bowl. What would it be like in the regular season? Well, Philly gets the better of Kansas City this time around. I mean, the Chiefs didn't score a single point in the second half.
Yeah.
And that has been the trend with Kansas City in these second halves. So I will maybe put the hex on Philadelphia here. Are the Eagles the best team in the NFL after you saw what you saw and them getting some regular season revenge on the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, I think we play this game every week, right? Where
I know.
we name someone else the best team in the NFL. I'm back on San Francisco after seeing them last week. I think, and we knew this was going to happen. We knew they were going to get healthy. Brock Purdy looked like his former self again. So I think in terms of the best teams in the NFL, I'm going to go Eagles and Niners. I'm not ready to declare the Eagles better than the Niners just yet. I don't think, especially with the addition of a guy like Chase Young. And once Debo is fully healthy, I just think that they're still the team to beat with a guy like Christian McCaffrey. But we'll see. They've been very Jekyll and Hyde. I almost went Heckle and Jide. Very Jekyll and Hyde. And I'm not sure that I trust them entirely, but they were really good again last week. So for me, it's the Eagles and Niners.
Yeah, I like that pick of San Francisco too. When healthy, they're probably the best team in the NFC. Will their 3-game losing streak cost them the number 1 seed, the bye, and then home field advantage? That, we'll see.
Maybe.
But I'm with you. I think overall, San Francisco is probably the better team. Adam, big Cowboys fan. Man, this is good news. We don't have a chance to ask Jerry yet. I'm sure he's been asked 1,000 times already between Sunday and now. Yes, Jimmy Johnson. Finally, they're letting bygones be bygones, and Jimmy Johnson is going in to the Ring of Honor. Obviously, and happy Thanksgiving to you too, Adam. Yeah. All right, so we're both kind of on San Francisco here, and so I guess we're not cursing the Eagles by declaring them the best team in the NFL, and that has pretty much done it. Every time we think we know, this is the team now. I mean, obviously, we're sending probably San Francisco into a little bit of a spiral, but we both like San Fran, and I'm okay with that. All right, Ash, let's just jump into things.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
Our guy Bill Miller up in South Glen Falls with Performance Industrial, where there is never a job that's too dirty or too difficult for him to get it done, and his great team. The owner of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Here is your Dirty, Difficult, Done, Ash.
Yeah, and I could have gone a few different ways with this, but I wanted to include Tom Brady. He didn't even have to insert himself into our show. I did it for him, but why can't Tom Brady just be done inserting himself into the spotlight, more specifically the national spotlight? And listen, I get it. He doesn't do it a lot, but at this point, you've retired. Just go right off into the sunset until you're going to do broadcasting. And I'm sure that's part of the reason is he wants to put in his 2 cents about stuff. But I don't really care what Tom Brady thinks about the current state of the NFL. And to be very honest with you, I just think that some of the quotes that he came out with were kind of bogus in a way. I mean, he talked about a lack of coaching, a lack of player development, but I laughed because, listen, guess what? It's essentially the same coaching staff in New England. And things aren't going as well. So a lack of scheming, a lack of coaching. Well, that's the same coaching staff. So I get it. He's probably talking about all teams all over the NFL. And I understand it's because scoring is down for the 4th straight year. Scoring in the NFL is down by a little bit. But there's also teams that are playing legit defense now. You have teams like the New York Jets who are putting legitimate defenses out and who are trying to win championships with defense. And that's a little bit of a change from the days of the Tyreek Hill on the Kansas City Chiefs. We're not seeing as much big play ability from a lot of teams. But I also think it's just you get the kind of pendulum that swings back and forth. But he always feels the need to just kind of
interesting,
and everyone wants to listen.
Wow, I mean, I don't know. Brady was never a big talker or
when he played
of anything controversy. Certainly, while he played.
But I just mean he's always on social media. He's and now he's on Stephen A. talking about. Don't give me the mediocrity. You've got Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts in the NFL. I get it. Nobody's going to win 7 Super Bowls. If that's the bar you're setting, of course, everyone is mediocre from here until the end of eternity because no one ever wins 7 Super Bowls again.
I don't think he's wrong. I think he's spot on here. The games, while many of them are close in the end, sure, some of them are really boring. I mean, you pointed it out that the scoring is down.
But he didn't say boring. He said it's mediocre football.
Right, which would mean it's boring. If the football is bad, okay, then it's kind of inherently boring, right? Or it's unwatchable. Maybe that's a better word. I don't know. Quarterback play is not great.
We watch every week.
Brady has said quarterback play is not great now. I think it all goes back to this. This is my theory. Part of it is probably what Brady sees and coaching and all that stuff, developmental aspects of the game, all that. I think it's the new CBA which has called for fewer padded practices, shorter training camps. You see these offenses in September sputtering. I mean, it takes them a month and a half to really get going. Most of these quarterbacks look like they're still in training camp when they hit September and week 1. So I think it's a confluence of things, but I think part of what Brady is saying is accurate. I think there are other elements too that he didn't bring up, like the new CBA, which has cut down on padded practices.
He did bring up penalties too, but that's been happening for a long time. Like that's been a trend.
Like the NFL has created an environment for offenses to flourish, but they aren't. So I don't know.
But think about too, and I think you have to think about injuries. Like you've had injuries to some of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like we were supposed to see Aaron Rodgers with that defense. What's to say that Jets team wouldn't have been gangbusters this year? We have no Joe Burrow on the Bengals. We have no Kirk Cousins on the Vikings. Like there are significant injuries across the league that you could potentially say are affecting the quality of the game. Kansas City is a little bit of a different story. Like Sam mentioned, they don't have any receivers, and the ones that they do have dropped a league high number of passes, which has affected their ability to be successful. But even the Dolphins for that 70-point game, we haven't quite seen that multiple times or replicated, obviously not to that extent, but even to a lesser extent this year for them. So
is Brady going to be good in the broadcast booth?
Probably, but I don't know.
Okay. It's not easy to do.
And I'm not sure if I'll like him because you know me, I don't love him generally. But like I love Tony Romo. There are a lot of people who don't like Tony Romo. I just think the ability, I really like Mark Sanchez. I think the ability for some of these guys, specifically quarterbacks, to see plays develop and to relay that to the viewer, I think is really amazing. There are people who aren't going to like that because they don't want to know what's going to happen. They don't want you to tell them what's going to happen. I think it's unbelievable that they can explain all of that as it's happening. Like, oh, this is going to be a run, like a sweep to the left side. Like that to me is amazing. And I get it. It's their job. It's what they did for a really long time. And now it's what they do. I think he'll be good from that perspective. I'm just not sure if he'll annoy me.
Okay. I almost have no doubt he will annoy you, but I will enjoy him. I like him a lot. On social media, I think it will translate to the booth. I don't have to worry about him playing for a team and a fan base that I don't enjoy. That's where I think I can kind of get on board with Brady as a broadcaster.
What do you think? Where do you fall here?
Interesting.
I fall the other way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I
just looking for your opinion as a man.
I think they're both good-looking guys, but you know me, I generally lean to the side of if he weren't playing quarterback for the Patriots and as successful as nobody's talking about whether or not Zach Wilson is a good-looking dude because he stinks at quarterback.
I did say the other day when they showed his picture, what did I say to you? He looks like a Hollister model or Abercrombie model from 20 years ago.
Yeah, like
he also
Zach
looks
Wilson
like he's
is
15.
Obviously a good-looking kid, but nobody cares because he stinks.
Correct.
Right. So, I don't know. I think the looks certainly...
But Tony Romo never won a Super Bowl. I mean, I get it. Like, he was a successful quarterback, but not when you're talking about comparing him to Tom Brady.
Quarterback of the Cowboys. All right.
I get it, but so was Dak Prescott. Until either one of them won something or wins something, who cares?
All right, back in a minute here on Honorado and Miller live from Alpin Haus, the owner of the Cowboys, as we talk about a couple of his quarterbacks coming up in about 10 minutes or so. Back right after this.
You've been waiting, and the time has finally arrived. From November 20th through the 26th, we'd like to welcome you to our newly expanded showroom on Route 30 in Amsterdam. And to celebrate, we're offering amazing deals in Amsterdam and Clifton Park. And since you loved our retro ski tuning prices, we're bringing them back for 1 week only. Get modern, state-of-the-art ski tuning at prices that'll make you miss your bell bottoms. And Saturday, we'll have food, craft beer, and live music. See a full list of events at alpinhausskishop.com. Alpin Haus, run by skiers and riders since 1964.
Teams, athletes, organizations, We're transforming the custom apparel industry through product and purpose. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Honorado and Miller. Sponsored by Alpin Haus.
And that's where we are in Amsterdam along Route 30, the renovated and expanded showroom here. And I'm joined by co-owner Andy Heck, the president of this company that is going to celebrate 60 years next year. Incredible. And they're decorating for Christmas, as you can see by the tree over our shoulders here. Andy, it's good to see you, man. This place looks incredible. I know I've been here a couple of times, was here for the ribbon cutting on Monday. What is the reaction you get from customers as they walk in?
They're overwhelmed, that's for sure. And I mean, you've seen it right from the get-go for all the transformation. It's been a long time coming. And being at the finish line feels so good. But a couple customers, like even today, they walked in, hadn't been here since last ski season, and they like froze in their tracks. They're like, wow. They didn't know what to expect.
You're already the premier retailer and outfitter for any outdoor activity in the capital region, and then obviously the RVs across town. So why do what you did here? It was already working, the business model you had. Why did you feel like there was something you really could improve upon?
Well, in retail, you have to. Nowadays, you have to create that experience for customers in order to get people in the stores with online and everything like that. And really, so we wanted to have a huge selection. We wanted to be a destination, and we wanted to really make it modern, but also a true reflection on our past. We've got a lot of history built in here to, for coming up on our 60 years. So we go all the way back with some of the things you'll see in here with the pictures and, our A-frame in the back. So it's, that's what we wanted to do. So we, I think I might've even told you, back early February, we took a ride to New York City, and we spent a whole day with a consultant there looking at all of the retail in Soho, just to kind of see what's new and what are other people doing. Nothing really, some in our space and a lot of them not in our space. We went from, everything from outdoor places to Apple to a pet store, just to kind of see what's an experience, because people want to have fun while they're shopping. They really want to have, they want to have a big selection too.
Oh,
Andy, we have a question from Sam. He wants to know if they mention O&M, mention Honorado and Miller, do they get a discount?
Yeah.
We'll see, Sam.
We always take care of. We always take care of your fans. Yeah, for sure. We always take care of your fans, no doubt.
And obviously,
Andy,
you guys have specials going on.
Yep. Go ahead,
Chris.
Ash. I was going to say you mentioned it. We talked to you off camera about today being a huge day. Tomorrow you have off, but then you have Black Friday. You've got Small Business Saturday. How big is this weekend for you? And do you prepare any differently for it in terms of do you have to bring extra staff in on the next, for the next 5 days for what comes here with shopping?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just like anybody in retail, everybody's off, they're on vacation, right? And they're shopping. So it's the true kickoff. And we have both going on because we have the kickoff to ski season and also for Christmas. So we have people that truly come in the shop to get ready for skiing. And then we also have people that they also take the opportunity because they're skiers to do all their Christmas shopping, whether it's for their kids or their spouses or, family members. And that's what's great. And we have so many people that come back for the holidays who don't maybe even live in this area who come to shop. And so it's kind of nice. It's like old home week too over this weekend. So yeah, we're expecting just a terrific weekend.
Before we let you run, prediction for Thanksgiving, Cowboys Commanders.
Oh boy. Hopefully the Cowboys, they've won, I think 6 out of 7 games that they've won by over 20 points. So hopefully that happens again so we can enjoy dessert and not have to worry about a close game. So that's what I'm hoping.
And you guys have been dominant at home, 4-0 at home this year, and you're beating opponents by more than 100 points in those 4 combined games. So 25 games at clip. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, they're playing, knock on wood, they're playing pretty good again. Even though they lost to Philly, they played them tough, but they've righted the ship after that tough loss in San Francisco. So I'm optimistic. Let's win the next few weeks and have that showdown with Philly again.
All right, we're going to let you run. Thanks for always opening the doors for us, being part of this show, supporting it, and it's just fun to watch this place grow. It's incredible what you guys have done.
Yeah, appreciate it. We appreciate working with both of you. It's a great relationship.
Co-owner of Alpin Haus here, Andy Heck. Andy, thank you, buddy. Diehard Cowboys fan, of course. So speaking of, here comes Jerry Jones on the other side of this commercial break. We're back on Honorado and Miller right after this.
I don't care what kind of stories that's been told on you. That may be a lot of things in life you used to do. If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. the best you can.
Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs and 95 calories.
This time of year, we like to give thanks and show gratitude. Here at Alpin Haus, we want to give thanks to you, our amazing customers, for giving us the opportunity to do what we love every day. And to show our appreciation, we're offering amazing deals on our huge lineup of new RVs. Like this 2024 Coachman Catalina for only $153 a month, or this 2024 Keystone Cougar for $344 a month. Visit alpinhausrv.com to learn more, or see us in Amsterdam or Saratoga. Alpin Haus, your total camping outfitter.
And now, back to Honorado and Miller. Sponsored by Alpin Haus.
Back on Honorado and Miller, it's Chris, it's Ash, and this is becoming maybe a Thanksgiving tradition of our own. An incredible opportunity to meet. I'd like to meet him one day too. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Charlotte Jones as well, and Kenneth Hodder from the Salvation Army. Guys, it's so great to see you and to spend a little bit of time with you. Thank you for doing this. Jerry, let me start with you here. We jokingly talked about that Giants-Cowboys game last year on Thanksgiving. Here comes another rival in the Commanders. It's a Washington team you guys have dominated on Thanksgiving. But I wonder now, is there more pressure that this team also has a celebrity owner with Magic Johnson?
Well, I would say this. We want to give them some capital punishment. But absolutely, he's a formidable owner with his background in sports. But, Washington to me stands alone. It's always been one of the real reasons I wanted to be involved in the NFL was get to go to the nation's capital and get to be a part of that competition there. But as would have it, it's the headquarters of the Salvation Army as well. And one of the real rewards that have happened is to be able to take the visibility of sports, visibility of the NFL, visibility of this game, which will have more viewers than other than the Super Bowl in the NFL, and say, look at the Salvation Army, 1.5 million volunteers. When $1 goes in that red kettle, the most efficient use of it, it goes to put shoes, it goes to feed the people that need it, and it goes to have some Santa Claus. Now that'll inspire you to have someone like that to be on the team with.
And we see that beautiful big red kettle behind you guys. The Red Kettle campaign, of course, the longest and largest fundraising campaign of its kind here. And Commissioner Hodder, we talked to you last year. You dropped some serious Capital Region knowledge on us. Albany, Schenectady, and Troy. Well, this year, as it was last year, what does it mean to have this connection with the Cowboys and with the NFL for the Salvation Army?
Oh, it means so much to us. The Cowboys are a global brand. This franchise, the kindness of the Jones family, has made a huge difference to the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign. Over the course of the past 27 years, they've helped us to raise more than $3 billion for people in need. And I know that in Albany and in Schenectady and in Troy, that need right now is food. About 4.4 million meals have been provided by Major Stoops and their team. And it's absolutely critical, therefore, that people know that in their own community, there are going to be people who are hungry, who don't have a place to stay, who might need support of one kind or another. The Salvation Army can do it if the American public will put $1 in the kettle or go online and make a donation. That's the way we can help one another.
So the Red Kettle already out at our local grocery store. Charlotte, before we have to let you go, I do want to ask you, on Thanksgiving at halftime, it's Dollywood meets Jerry World. I don't know that it gets any bigger, even in Texas.
It does not get any bigger than that. Dolly Parton, what a rock star. And she is launching her rock star album. You're going to hear her oldies and her new ones. And on top of being an iconic performer, she is an amazing philanthropist. She is donating $1 million to the Salvation Army.
Wow.
That's 2.5 million meals across the country because of Dolly. So tomorrow, tune in. It is going to be an amazing game, an amazing show, and we're going to reach millions and inspire them time to give to the Salvation Army so that the millions of people across the country will have some hope for tomorrow.
Yes.
We may not sing like Dolly, but
No,
everybody can
gosh.
contribute like Dolly,
Yeah.
which is what we hope.
We so appreciate the time with the NBC up here in Albany, New York. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Jerry
Thanks.
Jones, Charlotte Jones, Kenneth Hodder. Whew, doesn't get any better than that. Like I said, maybe a Thanksgiving tradition here. We'll see how many times
Maybe
we can
next
pull
year.
that off,
We'll
right?
see, yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're back after this on Honorado and Miller.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
You've heard of unsung heroes. The men and women of Nyskoba are the unseen heroes. For the past year, you've learned about our many charitable endeavors. Now it is my privilege to share with you the work performed by our members, the 20,000 state correction and law enforcement officers shielded from view. They work in difficult and dangerous conditions and are an extension of the police who protect our neighborhoods. Nyskoba honors New York's police and firefighters and salutes its own members who help deliver a peaceful night's sleep.
And now, back to Honorado and Miller. Sponsored by Alpin Haus.
Here we go, live from Alpin Haus in Amsterdam. Our thanks to Andy Heck for jumping on the show and his continued support. Katie Osborne, his sister, constant communication with her as well. And look, it's part of what makes this show go. Is our local business partners, and that's it. They are all local business partners, from Alpin Haus to Novice to Saratoga Eagle to Nyskoba to Performance Industrial and Marcella's as well. This is kind of my thank you on Thanksgiving for the support that those companies continue to give us on this show. Ash,
Absolutely.
Let's dive into this while we've got the time here. Shout out to UAlbany football. I mean, who saw this coming? Nobody.
If they did, they're lying
outside
to you.
the coaching room or the locker room. Nobody. If you asked a coach, hey, how many games can you win this year? They might say we can get to 7, 8, or 9. I don't know. No coach maybe says we aren't going to win them all, but the fact that 9-3, Ash, I think you and I may have said preseason, like if they get to 5, you have to feel good.
Yeah, you go in the right direction.
Right. But what a turnaround! A share of the CAA title, first time in program history. The Danes earn a first-round bye, and they'll get the winner of this game, NC Central and Richmond, in the first round. So they get the bye, they get a home game. Greg Gattuso wins Coach of the Year in the conference. You get a kid from Glens Falls and Griffin Waddell, who has a huge year to start his career. Just, incredible. And you hope that it doesn't end anytime soon.
Yeah, and listen, it's really, we saw Reese Poffenbarger and we had a glimpse of that offense last year and just how potent they were, but they were being forced to score 30-plus points a game in order to win. They're still scoring 30-plus points a game, but you know what? They're shutting teams out. They're holding teams under 14. The defensive performance has been, for me, the most eye-popping turnaround because they really struggled at times last year. And a guy like Dylan Kelly has led the way. Listen, 145 tackles up to this point, breaks the UAlbany single-season record, wins him Defensive Player of the Year. He's been absolutely fantastic. I think he's got 3 picks. He's done a little bit of everything, couple forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. So he's been really good for them. But Larry Walker Jr., they had 14 guys get all-conference nods this year.
Yeah.
So that tells you everything you need to know. But I also think it was unexpected, right? Like, they were picked in the preseason. Nobody thought twice about them. And now they've won a share of the conference title. So good for them. And it kind of stinks because, like, Villanova was ahead of them technically, even though they beat Villanova. All the semantics of it are kind of silly. But first round bye, home playoff game on December 2nd. It doesn't get any better than that. You give yourself a chance to essentially play for a national championship, which is what the only thing you could ever ask for.
Yeah. Congrats to our buddy Greg for the great year they've had and more to come for sure this season alone. All All right, here are the college football playoff rankings, the updated rankings here. Georgia, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, Washington finally into the top 4, and Florida State, Ash, I think, will only continue to sink here because of the awful injury to Jordan Travis.
Yeah.
But the Seminoles are 5. Oregon will rise. A lot of people still like Oregon more than Washington, even though we saw them head-to-head, and the Huskies won the game. Texas is 7. There may be no team playing better football in the entire country right now than Alabama, and the Crimson Tide sit at 8. They will get an SEC championship date December 2nd with Georgia. So the same way Ohio State and Michigan will kind of figure itself out, Alabama and Georgia might figure itself out as well. Although I wonder, just kind of thinking off the top of my head here, if Georgia were to lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game, and it's only like the difference of a touchdown, would you still put the Bulldogs into the playoff?
Yeah, maybe. It's so much of it depends on we always talk about this, it's the timing of your losses. It's not so much that you lose, it's when you lose. If you lose early in the season, a lot of times it's better than losing late in the season. But who you lose to is also important. Mm-hmm. I'm a little surprised this week because Florida State didn't lose, but they still got knocked out. And you know, sometimes they do this. They switch teams and nobody lost last week. But a lot of times how you win impacts where the committee sees you. So I think this is right. But a lot of people have talked about this quarterback that Mike Norvell recruited way back in the day, one of his first recruits. I'll be interested to see what he does. It's the ACC. It's very winnable. And if they can keep winning, I don't know how you keep them out, especially if Washington loses a game somewhere down the road in the Pac-12 championship game.
Well, if Florida State finishes the year undefeated.
Yep. I think it'll be tough. It'll be tough to keep them out. You
have to put them in because we already know that they're going to play the ACC championship game against Louisville, which is a top 10 program right now. So that would be a good win on the Seminoles' resume. And again, I really do believe here that, well, first of all, I'm picking Ohio State on Saturday to beat Michigan.
Me too.
So, okay. So I think Michigan then is out. And I wouldn't put it past the committee to go, I don't know. How much of this is sign stealing, the success of the Wolverines and Harbaugh not on the sidelines? And do we really want them part of this conversation for another month plus? No. So they lost. They didn't play in the Big Ten championship game if things play out the way we think they will. And so you can knock one team out and still slide an undefeated Florida State team in while rewarding the Pac-12 champ.
Yep.
And rewarding maybe 2 SEC teams. There's a way to make that happen here with only 4 is to still get 2 SECs and Florida State, which lost its starting quarterback. It's possible.
And I think, listen, that's the way it should be. I don't care what conference you're from. At this point, we know that like the Pac-12 has been arguably the best conference in football this year. But I think if you're undefeated, you're in. And that has to be the way it is. If you're Florida State, even if you do it with a backup quarterback, it may not be pretty when you're in, but you would have to reward that if it so happens.
So Sam made this comment here, and I just started to do some of the math in my head here. He says any undefeated team left will be in the playoff. Only 4, so no undefeated team will miss out on the playoff. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it that, like, Liberty could finish undefeated, and they're not getting it. I know what you mean, a Power 5 team. I get it. But you could have all one-loss teams. I mean, it could get funky. It
could get even. It could even out.
Because I was not going to beat either Ohio State or Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
The Big Ten champ will be undefeated. But again, you could have Bama beat Georgia. You could have Oregon beat Washington the second time around in the Pac-12 title game, and then the Ducks
you'd need Ohio State to lose. If, say, Ohio State wins this weekend, you need them to lose in a Big Ten title game in order to have one. It gets tough. I don't know that, someone's going to be left undefeated. That just is kind of how it feels, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, what a terrible injury for Jordan Travis. Terrible.
Yeah. So we're both taking the Buckeyes here. I'm a little surprised. Michigan is a slight favorite. I think I saw 3. Favored by 3 is what I saw earlier Wednesday. Why are you on the Buckeyes like me?
I don't. This just has that feeling. I feel like, and I could be very wrong, I feel like Ohio State has won more impressively, but also has just put up more points. For me, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the X factor. Michigan doesn't have that guy. This is a guy that will be a top 3 draft pick probably in the upcoming NFL draft. So for me, it's kind of just his game-breaking ability, and I trust Ohio State more. I don't think it has anything to do with Harbaugh not being on the sideline. But we saw it with Michigan. Like they didn't run a single pass play in the second half of that game and still just grinded people down and won. That said, I think Ohio State's line is a lot better.
Yeah, I liked Michigan a lot in this game last year at the Horseshoe, and they won. And now this year, I like Ohio State. They seem to be trending in the right direction more than Michigan. And,
I agree.
Look, you can only, in my opinion, play with that us against the world mentality and chip on our shoulder for so long. It just, I don't think it continues through. I think Ryan Day is saying the same thing. Like, hey, the only reason these guys beat us is because they were cheating. So go out there and prove me right, might be the message from the Ohio State head coach this coming weekend. All right, we're getting into the Jets quarterback situation. Back to our dirty, difficult done. Aaron Rodgers is jogging. How close to practicing is he? And is it really worth it? Is it really worth what he's doing here to try to get back? Should he be doing what he's doing? We're back in a minute on Honorado and Miller.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through products and purpose. Claim your crown.
You've heard of unsung heroes. The men and women of Nyskoba are the unseen heroes. For the past year, you've learned about our many charitable endeavors. Now it is my privilege to share with you the work performed by our members, the 20,000 state correction and law enforcement officers shielded from view. They work in difficult and dangerous conditions and are an extension of the police who protect our neighborhoods. Nyskoba honors New York's police and firefighters and salutes its own members who help deliver a peaceful night's sleep.
And now, back to Honorado and Miller. Sponsored by Alpin Haus.
All right, here we go. Let me get a couple of comments in here, Ash, before we jump into the Jets quarterback situation here.
I was hoping you would do that.
Good question here. And this has come into play with the NCAA tournament, basketball tournament selection committee. If a key guy gets injured, a lot of times the committee then starts to devalue that team. It happened, although I think Kenyon Martin's Cincinnati team still got a 1 seed even after he broke his leg going into that tournament. I think that's right. And the Bearcats got bounced early. But we have seen this in the past where the basketball committee says, nope, they're missing their best player. They're not a 2 seed anymore. Maybe they're a 4. And so it's a good question, right? Without Travis, I would say this, Jeff, it will depend how Florida State looks the next couple of games without their starting quarterback. If they're impressive, then the committee's got to say, hey, they're still winning as impressively as they were.
Yeah, I think so too. I just think you have to reward an undefeated season, no matter if you're going to call it soft, whatever you're going to say about the ACC, I still think you have to reward it. You can call it soft, but teams like Duke and UNC have been better in the recent past, and this year they're better than they've been in a long time. So while Clemson isn't maybe as good as they were, and they're still playing better than they did at the beginning of the year, I still think it's a Power 5 conference. You've got to reward an undefeated team if that so happens to be that
Troy's
way.
taking Michigan here, calling the Buckeyes average. I don't think he's wrong. They're not great, and they've been injured.
No. But I would also say the same thing about Michigan. They're average too. Like they have Blake Corum, but JJ McCarthy to me is like he's the epitome of, for me, like a game manager. So I think Marvin Harrison is like really the only real game breaker on the field between either team. But I would say the same. If you're going to say that about Ohio State, I'd say the same thing about Michigan this year.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
All right, back into the Dirty, Difficult, Done segment here on the show. And, you know, this is nothing groundbreaking here, but it allows me to then talk about Aaron Rodgers, which I'll get to in a second here. But Zach Wilson is clearly done. It took too long, I would say, but when you are the number 2 overall pick and there is that draft capital invested in you, it is incumbent on Robert Saleh to really, really find out. You've got to give the guy more than 5 or 6 games this year. This had to be the deciding year. And while it isn't going to end up in a playoff spot for New York, I do hope that it allows Robert Saleh to continue to coach this team. I wouldn't fire him if I were Johnson.
Yeah, I think you have to give the guy a fair shake with what you believe.
If Zach Wilson was really the guy. And now you know, right? Like, now you know. It isn't, well, he only played 4 games, so maybe we pulled the plug too quickly on him. Let's bring him back for 2024. There's no way. He's due to make $11 million next year. It's not going to happen. He will get cut. Nobody's going to trade for. I can't imagine anybody's trading anything.
No, he'll be a backup somewhere, though. Somebody will give him a backup job.
So Zach Wilson is done with the Jets, and Mac Jones is next. I don't know if Jones is going to start against the Giants this week as we do the show live on a Wednesday. Belichick hasn't announced that. My guess is he probably will start. And Belichick's going to give him every opportunity to prove whether or not he can be the guy.
Right.
He can't. He won't be the guy going forward. The Patriots are going to be in position to draft a quarterback this year. They're going to do that. You're going to have to reboot this thing and try again. The question is whether or not Bill Belichick will be making those decisions. So 2 of the 4 quarterbacks in the AFC East, in my opinion, are done. Tim Boyle will get the go, Ash, against the Dolphins on Black Friday. And Sam
Trevor Simeon's going to back him up.
Yeah. Sam says the Jets will lose on Friday, and that'll be the end of the season. And this is the point, and this is why I did kind of ask the question going into the last commercial break was, should Aaron Rodgers even really be pressing to get back? He's running on a treadmill. He sent video of that to the Jets so they could see the progress he's making. He has talked about returning to practice in 2 weeks, which would be right around his 40th birthday. And he has long said he envisions himself back for that Christmas Eve game against Washington. Okay, they're 4-6. These are the 4 games that the Jets play before that Washington game. Sam already says they're going to lose to Miami, so they're 4-7. Atlanta at home, okay, could win
5-7.
Could be
probably not going to beat the Texans, but you might. That's a toss-up.
And then down to Miami.
Yeah, you're probably not going to win that. So if you go 2-2 there, you're 6-8.
And what we know is in the conference of the AFC this year, 9-8 will not be good enough to get you in. So it just will be very interesting. And Aaron Rodgers knows what he's doing here. He's trying to keep hope alive within the Jets locker room and as they play games on Sundays. But he is also keeping himself and the franchise in the national conversation here because I'm interested, right? Like if the Jets end up 2-2 in this 4-game stretch, like you said, and they're 6-8, all eyes will be on Rodgers. Hey, are they good enough? Are they close enough to contention for you to come back? But I'm with Sam. I wouldn't risk it. You can't put him back out there with this offensive line when, one, he's jogging. He's not planting. He's not trying to get away from pressure, which is what caused this in the first place.
Right. And I'm also a little surprised he says he wants to practice in 2 weeks. For me, practice is I think that's a deceiving word because if you're not planting yet, you're going to go from jogging on a treadmill, which you just talked about, doesn't involve planting, shifting. I mean, he's not going to get hit until he probably takes a hit in a real game again, whenever that is. Mm-hmm. But it's such a different beast to go from jogging on a treadmill to actually practicing, taking hard snaps, making throws, and doing the things you need to do to be an NFL quarterback. And him practicing may not be exactly what needs to be done to be on an NFL field again. But can you imagine the second he goes out there, it becomes, even if he never takes a snap this season and he just kind of plays that like B team backup role at practice, oh my God, people are going to lose their mind.
Sam will be at that Atlanta game. Yeah. How about that quarterback battle?
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sam. I feel for you.
It's always a little buyer beware when you buy tickets. I want to go to Troy's prediction here. This is interesting. It says Texas, Oregon, Washington, Florida State are all going to drop a game these next 2 weeks. Now, Florida State, again, could certainly lose to Louisville. Good game. Washington could lose in the rematch to
Oregon.
Oregon, yes, thank you.
Not sure who Oregon's losing to. I think either one loses. I think either Oregon or Washington, who they have this week.
So Oregon plays at Oregon State.
Okay.
So they're in Corvallis on Black Friday. Not easy. And you're kind of banking on Texas, I guess, losing the Big 12 championship game. I don't know. We'll see. But
if Oregon loses, they're not getting to the Pac-12 championship game, and then Washington won't lose. You're not going to have two SEC and two Big 10. I just believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that that's not going to happen.
That's kind of my thing too. Is it seems a little bit of a reach to get two from just two different
conferences.
Especially
Especially in a year when the Pac-12 has been so good, unexpectedly good, and has two potential Heisman candidates. I just think it's not going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Daniel Jones has had surgery on the ACL, 8 to 10 months of rehab expected. The timeline would put him right at the start of training camp next year. Does Daniel Jones start week 1 for the Giants next year?
No.
Because of injury or because of draft pick?
Yeah, I just don't think they're going to push it. They won't push him back quickly, but he'll be there.
He'll be there.
He'll be involved as a member of the team. He just may not start in week 1.
Okay. NFL picks coming up next here on Honorado and Miller. Ash wants to talk some Thanksgiving food as well, so we'll do that.
And the Albany Cup game.
Right after this.
I don't care what kind of stories that's been told on you. That may be a lot of things in life you used to do. If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just do the best you can.
Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs and 95 calories.
And now, back to Honorado and Miller. Sponsored by Alpin Haus.
All right, Ash, I am headed in the wrong direction with our picks this NFL
Chris, can we
season.
go back to Troy real quick?
You go right ahead. Sure. What do you got?
So I don't disagree here, Troy. I think Alabama could very well knock off Georgia. Where I think you're wrong is that I don't believe that there will be two Big Ten teams in the Final Four. I don't think it'll be Michigan and Ohio State. I think you're going to get a Pac-12 team. So I don't disagree that Alabama and Georgia could still both be in. I think that could very well happen. I just don't believe that both Pac-12 teams will be out. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
All right.
Our picks last week, here they were. Tough week for me. Ash bounced back after that Browns loss. 3-1 for Ash, 1-3 for me, and so we're deadlocked here at 29-24.
Dead even.
Overall record still very, very good. If you are a gambler, you would take that every single season to be above 5 games above 500, and especially in the NFL, which is just tough to do. So let's get to our games here, and we're gonna pick the Black Friday game here, the first ever NFL game on Black Friday. I would imagine this becomes an annual tradition.
Yes.
We are both on Miami here. We are giving the 9.5 to the Jets at the Meadowlands. Any trepidation here to give these many points?
A little, but the Jets aren't going to score. We just know that they have a really good defense. I just think the Dolphins are too talented. They have too many weapons. They've got two of the fastest guys in the NFL on their offense. So I'm not worried that the Jets are going to score a lot of points. I'm just worried that they may hold Miami under 30, but even like 30 to 14, you're still, it's still a cover. So I still like the Dolphins to win by 10 or more.
Miami couldn't cover last week against Vegas. That was disappointing.
I know.
All right, this is the game of the weekend for me. I think it is anyway.
And our guy Andrew Catalan's on it.
Yeah, this is the game of the weekend for me. Right, Jags Texans. It's a
who would have thought?
You might find some books that have it at like 1 in either direction. It's a pick 'em here on our show. I like the road team. I'm taking Jacksonville, despite the fact that Houston has already beaten the Jaguars this year, and they did it handily. I will point out on the road. So now Honorado's taking the road team I don't know. I just feel like Jacksonville is the better team. I still think Trevor Lawrence is the better quarterback right now than CJ. So give me the better team and the better quarterback to win this game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just not sure that they have the better team or the better quarterback. I think CJ Stroud will show his youth a little more often, but in terms of surprising, I think I've been more surprisingly disappointed by Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, and surprisingly surprised in a positive way by CJ Stroud and the Texans. I mean, the Texans are arguably the best story in the NFL this year with DeMeco Ryans, what he's done with that team. And CJ Stroud has just been unbelievable at times. I agree. I love that idea. They're starting to flex Monday night games too, I think, right? So yeah, I think the Texans are the best story in the NFL. I like them a lot. I just am kind of riding that bandwagon. And like you said, they had success against them the first time around. Whether or not it translates the second time around, we'll see. But it's in Houston, so that's a benefit for the Texans.
Yeah, this is a fun watch. Sunday at 1. I'm locked into this game. You said it. Yes, Andrew is calling the game. Couldn't be happier for him. There's going to be a big national spotlight, believe it or not.
And who would have thought, like beginning of the year, like, hey, by the way, in week 12, Jags-Texans going to be a good one.
So this is interesting. I don't want to spoil it for that thought, but I think Andrew gets his assignments like 3 games at a time.
Yeah, so not that far out.
But it says something, because you could have forecasted this as, hey, this could be a game with first place in the AFC South on the line, and he got the game, which is just awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah, cool. All right, moving on here to our third game of the weekend, Bills at the Eagles. Now, when I saw this number, I thought, that can't be right. Buffalo's been struggling. Philly's 9-1. They've played
coming off
games, but the Eagles are decidedly the better team this year.
Doubt.
So when I saw 3.5, I thought, give me the home team on a nationally televised game. Yes, please.
Yeah, I think so too. The one hang up I have is like the Bills felt like a little bit of a better team last week. I mean, the Jets were atrocious, so it's hard to say whether it was really the Jets being terrible and the Bills being better. But the Bills offense started to look like they were, at least in parts figuring it out. So I do wonder, are they going to put up, if they put up 21, will they cover that? But I still like the Eagles. We talked about it. I think the Eagles and the Niners are the best teams in the NFC and maybe in the league.
The Bills have so many injuries,
and
especially on defense, that I just don't think they're going to be able to handle Hurts and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
The tush-push.
Yeah. So, yes, Buffalo played better last week.
Yep.
I'm not ready to fully knee-jerk and say getting rid of Ken Dorsey has changed things, but they did show a commitment to running the football.
Yep.
Against the Jets, and it paid off big time. I think they'll continue to try to, but Philly's run defense, as opposed to its secondary, is certainly stout. So I think Buffalo has a hard time moving the ball as much as they want to on Sunday. We're both on the Eagles, and we're both on the Ravens here. This one I was really close to picking the Chargers, because Brandon Staley's just ticked off at the world.
He's so pissed.
And I thought everybody's going to be on Baltimore, that LA doesn't win, but finds a way to keep it closer than the 4. And then I couldn't talk myself into it enough. So I'll take the Ravens, a team, Ash, maybe Baltimore's the best team in the AFC, right? Who's arguing with that? Kansas City's flat.
Yeah,
Who
I
do you
don't know.
like more than
I've picked against Baltimore all year long. I'm finally picking with them this year. So this will probably, or this week. So this will probably be the curse that brings them down. But Baltimore without Mark Andrews to me is, and he may be back. They did say maybe they weren't so sure about that injury. He might be back, but it probably wouldn't be till like playoff time. Baltimore without who Lamar Jackson has called his favorite target, to me is probably not the best team in the AFC.
What has to happen for Brandon Staley to get fired? I mean, what has to happen that hasn't already happened? And I'm not a big call for a guy to get fired. I'm not. Owners will make their decisions. I have my own opinions about whether or not a coach can win games. And we know Brandon Staley is just not going to, at least with the Chargers. Yeah. It's going to end this year. But will he make it all the way through the season? There's already that tension in the locker room, guys talking now about the defensive philosophies and stuff. It's just, I don't know.
You said something funny when we were watching the game the other day. Were they getting the ball back last week? And you said, of course, a Brandon Staley team with no timeouts as they're trying to lead like a game-winning drive late. Right. Dude never has any timeouts. The clock management is consistently terrible. And I just think the judgment has been very bad for the first, is he year three now? The first 3 years of his career there have not been great.
So the only difference we have on the board here is that Jacksonville-Houston game, which we both are very much looking forward to. Otherwise, the other three games are right on par with the others.
Not sure if that's good or bad.
No, I know. All right, let's just do it here. Carol wants to know who's cooking tomorrow. Ash?
Oh, my gosh. It's Carol, it's neither one of us because we are challenged when it comes to cooking. I am planning to cook carrots, but that it feels like it should be an easy go to bring to your parents' house. It feels like that should be an easy one for me.
I'm a good dinner guest. I am happy to provide whatever you ask. It's just going to be purchased.
Yes, you are. Yes, yeah, that's correct. I mean, for the most part, from both of us.
I'm happy to bring something, whatever you want. You tell me what it is, I will. But I'm not making it. It's not going to be homemade by me. There may be a restaurant here locally that makes it that I then bring. What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish, Ash?
Well, Chris doesn't like food pretty much at all, or Thanksgiving, so that's I'll let you answer yours. But
I'm not down on Thanksgiving. I think the meal is way overrated.
Oh, I disagree. I mean, I think turkey's way overrated, but I am all in on stuffing, sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes, green bean. I mean, I'm all in on all the sides. Like we could leave the turkey right on out of it, and I'm in on every side and every dessert. We're talking, Sam likes cheesecake here.
Yep.
Carol likes a nice wine. So I like the direction that this is headed. It's not about the main food at all. It's about it's about everything else.
I'll have a glass of wine and a piece of cheesecake, and I'm all set. I don't need anything else to do with the meal. On the way out here, feels like we're cheapening it.
I know. Sorry.
Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend, tough, but people will still fill the arena for this game. They always do. The Albany Cup being played between the men's teams on Sunday afternoon. Thanks for hanging out, everybody, and watching Honorado and Miller. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.